Welcome to Angels of Light Foundation, a voice for children and teenagers podcast. We are giving a platform to our younger voices, children and teenagers, sharing their thoughts on our mindfulness in nature programs and books, plus the educational system. Asking them what type of school would they want to learn in? What would they like to see change in our world? Finding out what gifts they hold and why they feel they are here on this planet. We believe, as parents and educators, that we should strive to raise children with a voice and for them to be heard.
Welcome to the Voice for Children podcast. I am Charles Chudabala.
And I'm Terry Allen.
And today we have a very special guest. She is an author, and her name is Delilah Sichmeller. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for being here, Delilah, because I met you the other week at the ZOW event through it's Childhood Matters, correct? Yeah, yes. So we were joining them through them. So it was great to meet you. And Delilah actually came up where we were showcasing our children's mindfulness stand.
Oh.
And she came up to interview me about mental health. And then basically she walked off and then I got sort of a divine message to you need to go and speak to her because she asked her to come on the podcast. I thought, I've only just met her for 2 seconds. Okay, I'll go over and ask. And that's when she said she had a book and she's written a children's book. And yeah, so I did order your book. I just wanted to tell everybody, but I didn't have time it didn't come in time. So, but we're going to let you, we're going to go through that in a minute. But you did do a children's book, Recycling for a Better, today, which I think is fantastic. And we're going to go over that in a minute. But I think we're going to have our first question for you, if you don't mind, because we really want the voice of youth to reach other children and the youth of today. I think they want to hear it from you guys. I think they're a bit sick of hearing it from us, because I don't think we've got it quite right, so I think that it's good for you to share, about your connection with Mother Nature. So our first question was, when did you realize you had a strong connection to Mother Nature?
My mom went vegan in 2018, and she had all of us watch those crazy documentaries that talk about, climate change and veganism. And that day, after watching a few of them, I went vegan. And I don't know, I just had this sort of, like you said, divine calling, right? I had this divine calling that I was meant to, be a voice for the environment. And so the next day, I created a social media platform, Recycling and Reusing for a Better Tomorrow, where I was sharing all of these ways that you can reduce your carbon footprint really simply by even just going vegan or buying secondhand, thrifting your clothing. And I also started a recycling drive that day throughout my entire community, which at this point has collected 95,000 bottles and cans and raised $5,000 for conservation organizations.
Wow.
And it's really only grown since then.
So within a short amount of time, was it easy for you to change to go vegan? Was it an easy switch for you?
It was pretty easy. My mom had been vegan for a while, so we were already kind of eating all of that tofu and black bean burgers, so it was pretty easy. Yeah.
It was pretty easy. And did you think that nature was calling you into action?
I really do. I mean, I had always had a sort of connection to nature. I grew up as a Girl Scout, so I was constantly out camping, and I always felt like there was this connection between Earth and me. And so finally realizing my path was almost life-changing, I would say.
Right. Are you one of the, for me, I'm obviously a nature buff because of what we do with our Children's Foundation and everything's through nature, but do you feel that you can hear Mother Nature talking to you, or the trees, or anything in particular? Do you have that connection, or?
I wouldn't say I have that connection. I think it's unique if you have that. That's really amazing. But I personally don't experience that.
Oh, you haven't. So where do you feel that calling came from?
I'm not exactly sure. I felt this, power in my heart, I would say. it was just this strong feeling, very sudden too. And in my mind, it flipped a switch and it's changed my life. It's really hard to explain, put to words. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you, I mean, you have a connection, don't you, Charles, to nature as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it grounds me. I know that the world can be very busy. I know that there's commerce, traffic, schedules, or just things that we have to do living in this world. And the energy can be a little overwhelming sometimes. And just even stepping in for 5 minutes, going on a walk, being near trees. And I'll tell you, it's even better when the air is cleaner. when you experience cleaner air, you realize like, oh, where I live, I'm breathing air. Thank you for the air. Gratitude for the air. But then you go and spend a weekend in like Joshua Tree or Palm Springs, and there's a blanket of stars. You're like, oh, there's stars.
Mm.
And my body feels happy to breathe this air right now. Definitely, you almost can't put it into words, the way that you almost recalibrate, realign, reorganize your body again.
I think you're right. I think when I was in England for a month, I mean, I live in a nice area and it is very green and it's, but it's still not, we went out into the countryside every day and I did find the level of my energy is double. I definitely find that the energy that Mother Nature gives us is profound. And yeah, I think it's just gives you so much more energy. And like you said, so much more grounding and clarity. And that's why I personally feel there's a big disconnect that's been gone on along the way. But we wanted to also ask you, and please feel free, Charles, to jump in any time. How important do you think nature's connection with humans is as a whole?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
How do you think the importance of nature's connection with humans is as a whole? How important do you think that is?
I think it's probably one of the most important things because, we live in almost symbiosis with the earth. And if we're not taking care of earth, we're not taking care of ourselves because that's providing for us. And so I see people, they use so much plastic. I was going out to Riverside a lot, and Riverside is known for having horrible, horrible air quality. And you could feel it, that sudden switch, like you said, because I live down by the beach area, and so it's extremely different. And so I think it's really just we need to take care of our planet so that we can take care of ourselves. It's a sort of self-care.
Symbiotic is a good word.
Yeah. And so obviously you feel we've got lost along the way. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we've got lost from your eyes? I have my view, Charles has his. But what do you think, what we've got lost? Why do you think we've got lost? What's happened from your point?
I think we've really just become, I would say, obsessed with the idea of, working a 9-to-5 job and then retiring. And then, that's it. That's life, And I feel like when we're working that 9-to-5 job, focusing on work so much, we're not focusing on the fact that we're only promised a certain amount of years. That is, a second in the span of the universe. And so when we're so focused on that job, we're not focused on the world around us. And that's really been the disconnect probably since the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah. Do you feel that the education system, the impact of the education system has also affected the youth of today? Because in my day, which was a long time ago, we were out in nature a lot. Like I had a huge playing field around my school. We had like a lunch break for an hour, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon. We was always outside in the grass, cold, wet, rain, snow. You were out, and we had blackboards. I mean, that's going back quite a bit, but we didn't have any electronics. So we still had a lot of connection to nature. We were always, outside playing so do you think, I know education has changed a lot. I'm not in education. Well, I am in education because I work around children, but would you say that the impact of education is affecting the youth today?
I think it definitely is, and especially pertaining to the environment. I know that with my own school, I have asked them time and time again, how can we make our school more green and more sustainable? One of my biggest things is we used to have a garden back, I think they
I was
used it.
just about to bring that up.
Yeah, they had it back in like the 80s or the 90s, and then it
Right.
went to ruin. And there are still, you can still see like the skeleton of it. You walk by it probably every day. And I've brought it up. Can we remake this garden? It's part of our school policy. And I've spoken to our school board several times, my principal I've had meetings with, and they refuse. And they don't have a reason to refuse. There's no reason why we can't do it. And if anything, that would allow the youth to realize their role in the environment at a younger age than they are.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'm speaking with 2 schools now. And in the proposal, because we do mindfulness, all of our programs are through mindfulness through nature, and they're big programs, but it's weaving it all in. And basically, one of them is, and I did this in Dubai, was because of the lack of nature, not from the sand or the sea, but from greenery, was to do a mindful garden. So like you just said, they have a garden in that school that everyone's responsible for. They all bring plants, doesn't cost them anything. They all bring, got enough kids and parents to bring everything and all get involved and nurture and connect with this garden. It's a place where they can go. It's a place where you can reconnect. It's a place where you can listen to yourself and just to relax and just to have a moment when you're just feeling, especially at that age, your age, which you're 17 now, it's overwhelming. There's a lot going on for the youth of today. My day, it was very simple, and it's good that you brought that up. And I just think it is sad that your school doesn't hear your voice. And if for other people that are listening to this, to people that maybe have a school, to principals, to teachers who are listening to this around the world, or probably wanting to start an enrichment school, what would your message be to them regarding that?
I mean, it's really just don't stop fighting for what you believe in. I know that's cliche, but it's true. I have kept working towards this garden. I've gotten, kids to sign a petition even. And no matter what we do, we keep getting refused to put it in. But you just got to keep working, even if that means, going to a different school completely in your community and asking them to do it.
Correct. Or even moving school.
Yes.
Just throwing that in there. So, we're big on education, obviously, because to me, educating children from a young age is important. Do you use mindfulness in your daily life? And if so, what tools do you use?
I most definitely use it in my daily life. I actually have grown up experiencing mental illness from about 2nd grade. I was experiencing disassociation at a very young age. And it wasn't until around 7th grade that I realized I wasn't alone in this feeling. And so my mindful activities, while they include, yes, journaling and meditation and yoga, it also includes speaking with my peers and my parents, even, and my family, about exactly what I'm feeling in this moment, why I'm feeling that way, and how they feel too. And it really gives me that sense of I'm not alone and being mindful of the fact that I'm not alone.
But what message would you have for them? So what would your techniques be? Because some, I do a lot of one-on-one with teens and children, and, I go to schools, and some of them don't have a good relationship with their parents, or they don't have anyone around them, or maybe they're in foster care, or maybe something else. What techniques would you give to them to help them with their mindfulness and any emotional mental health that they're going through? What tools could they use?
I think journaling is a great tool. Yeah. I use that one a lot. If maybe I don't have family around or friends around, I can talk to myself almost, just write out all my feelings, really try to explain why I'm feeling that way. Breathing exercises are amazing. Truly one of the best ways to calm down when I'm in a moment of anxiety. And there's so many different fun ones, especially for kids to try out, because, it can be like, why am I breathing so weird? And it's just like, oh, well, it's like butterfly breathing, so it's just making it fun too. So there's so many different ways.
Do you ever use nature as one of those go-tos for mindfulness?
For sure. Yeah. I do a lot of meditation and yoga outside because I feel like that's very grounding. Also, even just if I'm in a moment at nighttime where I'm like, okay, I need to get out of my head, right? I just go outside and I try to find as many stars as possible in the sky.
Do you know why you're here on this planet?
I have no idea. And, I look for that purpose every day. And I feel like what I've found so far is I'm on this planet to feel every emotion possible, to feel every human feeling as possible.
Now, I'm surprised you said that you didn't know why you're here.
Really?
Yeah, because I definitely, I mean, I don't know about you, Charles, do jump in at any time, but yeah, to me, when I met you, you do stand out compared to other people. So you are awake, very awake. And I just felt that there was a fire in your belly, there was a fire in your heart to make a difference. And yours is definitely to do with the planet. Mm-hmm. It's definitely to do with your youth of today. It's definitely using your voice. It's definitely, using it in a bigger way. And that's what I got, was what your calling is for. And I saw that straight away when I spoke with you. So I am quite surprised that you said that. So did that land for you, or?
I mean, that is very impactful, what you're saying. I mean, I can definitely feel that. I've always, felt a mission to, impact others' lives. Even as I head into applying for college, I'm thinking about how am I going to use this to benefit others, not just myself. And so I definitely see that. I try not to think about it as like, that's my purpose all the time, because sometimes my purpose is to just watch, TV,
Yeah, I know, you have to switch off. I agree.
Yeah. So I think it's really powerful that you said that, though. Thank you.
I want to add to that too, because I totally I agree with a lot of what Terry was saying. And one thing that you had mentioned was in talking about disassociation, right? And yet you're such a huge advocate now through your journey of connection, which is literally
so different. Yeah.
It is literally, they're two sides of the same coin, and self-care and the connection with the planet, everything that you're doing is all about connection. But what I want to say, Delilah, because I was able to kind of go through your book, even though I don't have a physical copy of it.
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, what the world needs now, besides your book and your message, is simplicity, is breaking things down in the noise of this world. I'm like the way that you put things, and even hearing you now at an interview, it's the same as your book. You're like, what's the fuss about? It's this simple. Just do this and this and this and this.
Yeah, I know.
People to get connected back, because I think we all want an easy pathway now, the simplicity. We want to get through the noise of so much messaging. And I was honestly getting chills as you're talking to your school district about, like, what's the big deal? Just make it green. I don't understand why it's so hard that you can't do this. So thank you for bringing that simplicity back.
But you're right. It is also the educational system. Mm-hmm. So if you could have your own school, let's just say someone came along, says, Delilah, we're going to open a school. Yes, okay, you're going to have to learn English, etc. Not. But what would your school look like if they gave you the money? Go do your own school. Go build your own school.
I think it would definitely be, combining three factors. Obviously, education is one of them, very important, but then also mental health, focusing on that, and the environment, really combining all of those things. My school, personally, we have a wellness center. And so that's like a counseling sort of opportunity that you can leave your class at any point during the day and just go spend time there in a safe space. And so I think we need a lot more of that in my own type of school. And also, obviously, a garden to maybe connect to that sort of wellness center and involve, why are we learning about these things? How does this benefit our mental health? It would just be a big range of, making a well-rounded person.
Yeah, and so basically what you're saying is there's a lack of the nature built schools environment, like even a vegetable garden or growing their own vegetables or learning to sell it or, connecting to Mother Nature, but also in other different ways as well. Like you said, your garden and it's good that they're having wellness rooms. I hope they're green. And, things made of wood and natural surroundings. That's what I feel.
And I think if I could add one more thing, it's that
sure.
we need definitely less technology in schools.
You've got a lot. Is it a lot in there now? I mean, my son's always been in schools like Waldorf. There's no technology. Then I moved him to homeschooling. Then I've put him in another school. There's no phones. There's no iPads. They do have a computer room. Of course, you've got to learn about technology. It's your future. But it's not, it's not all. He doesn't work on iPads. He's got pencils and pens and paper. So how is your school now? Is it just all iPad or?
We have Chromebooks that we have to bring with us to each classroom. We use Promethean boards in the classroom. We have tablets sometimes. We're allowed our phones out in classroom. So it's a lot of technology. And honestly, with so much technology, we know the effect of technology on mental health, and it's not a good connection. And I personally have learned that I do better with writing pen and paper on exams than I do with typing. And I hear that with so many different kids, but we're not allowed to just write pen and paper.
And so strange, really?
Very weird, yeah.
Because that's your left and right brain learning.
Right?
Hand skills. Exactly. That keeps you balanced.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if you want to learn about technology, take computer science principles,
I think you have to have some technology. You're right. People have to learn how to build their own platforms. But it's nice that you said that about a school that had a lot less technology. Do you feel that your age group feel the same way?
Definitely. I feel like there are definitely kids who are completely the opposite and love the technology. But I think that's a small portion of kids.
How interesting.
I mean, we saw that grades went down during COVID, and I think that was a lot to do with the fact that we were completely on technology. So, yeah.
So wow. if you had a message out there, because obviously your peers are not hearing what the youth wants, what the children want. What message would you give to them who are listening in your district or any education, actually? I think they're all more or less similar unless you're in a small little enrichment school,
I think there's a couple of things. I mean, think of us as your actual children. Would you want your actual children being raised in this sort of school? Right. And also, we are the next generation of healthcare professionals, of teachers, of fast food workers, whatever it may be. We are the next generation. And would you want this generation to be involved in a school that is so technology based, so artificial,
Yeah, that's a really good point. And would you say that how is the mental health with the youth around you in your school?
I could not name you one person in my school or in my friend group, at least my peers, who hasn't struggled with mental health. And I think that's very upsetting to hear. I'm very fortunate that my school has a wellness center and we have a lot of opportunities, but I talk to kids who are in the LA school district, for example, and they don't have those opportunities. The schools are way too big to provide those opportunities. And so I think we really need more focus on mental health.
So do you think that they're happy in school, or yes or no?
I think it depends. I mean, I'm happy in school because I'm with my friends. I'm in a good education, but I also, like I said, know people who are very unhappy in school. So it really depends on the person and the personality type.
Yeah, right. It is sad to hear that, though, that a lot of things are missing, and I do think things have to change. Like you said, people say, oh, but they're the future. But, we're educating differently. We've got to learn differently. And I've said this many times, there is no point keep talking about climate change when there's no connection. They're not going to understand. They're not going to care. You've got to have that connection for them to love everything around them, respect everything around them, respect each other, respect nature, get an understanding of recycling, blah, blah. If they don't, it's never going to land. It just is. I'm sorry, but that's my point of view. Does anyone agree?
I think there is this idea of, almost with my generation at least, it's like this idea of impending doom, that there's nothing we can do about it. And in my AP Gov class, she asked, how many of you are planning to vote when you get the chance? Like, do you think you have any voice in changing our society? And almost nobody raised their hand that they were going to vote, which is very upsetting to hear. I raised my hand very high, but it's upsetting to hear, yeah.
Impending doom. Wow. Yeah, because who's going to try if they feel and believe that their voice goes nowhere?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's very sad that they did a count and everyone just says, no, like we've given, oh my God. Oh no, that has to change.
It's scary, yeah.
That's got to, yeah, that's something. You know, it's great that they're doing a wellness center, and I heard, you know, it's in the LAUS district as well, and that's great, but you know, it's much more than that.
Yeah,
you can't just do a room with a few beanbags and some desks. It's a whole different way of educating through mindfulness and through different ways now, which are very simple but really impactful. That's why we do our foundation. That's why we set up our foundation to bring this into schools. And we know it works because we've done it for, you know, overseas for 15 years. So we really know the impact and the change that it has on everyone as a whole, as a community, and everyone gets involved. And it is nature-based. Because to me, nature is creative. That's why you've done your book. It's creativity. You can lose yourself in it. It's like a huge TV screen that comes to life. It's alive. It gives you energy. It gives you creativity. It gives you so much, apart from the food, the oxygen, the whole thing. But there's a whole, using all your senses and creativity just brings everything alive.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that's where the consciousness disconnect comes in. That's where the sickness of the connections come in. I do. I think it's that simple. That's why a lot of people have moved out. They've moved off the grid, they've moved out. And did you want to say something, Charles? I can see your mind was pondering there.
I just wanted to say that just your openness to talk about all of this, you know, to talk about mental health, to talk about what needs to change, to talk about the connection. Because people say we need to have a conversation.
We do, because all the youth, whoever we're interviewing, whether in Lebanon, whether they're here in California, they're all saying the same message. It's not like, and you don't know each other. You know what I mean? You're all saying the same message. But we love for you to hold up your book. If you want to just hold that up, because obviously my copy didn't come, Recycling for a Better Today. I thought it was great. When mine comes, I will speak to you about that, but I really want to use that with my young kids when I go into school and talk to them, you know, the littler ones. And I think they'll really love that because, so how did that come about? Do you want to tell us about the book and a little bit about it? Because obviously we don't have it here, but we're, you know, just so you could share a little bit about it. I thought it was quite fun.
Yeah. So I remember growing up, you know, reading tons of different books, and in class we would kind of talk about them and be like, okay, well, what's the lesson or the moral behind it? And honestly, those lessons and morals stuck with me, whether it was, you know, like don't be a bully or, you know, don't waste your life. It sticks with you, you know? And so I started thinking, how can I get the youth to understand their role in the environment? And so, I mean, like Charles said, it's really just about the simplicity of it. And so I took my niece to the park. We took tons of photos, and I edited on top of the photos.
I thought it was great that the bottles and the can and the plastic was having a chat. It had its own personality. I thought that was great because that gets the children instantly, their imagination, their creativity, and it's a bit really correct. I don't want to say Disney-like, but it's because it's not, but it like brings like a Harry Potter type of thing. Like it brings things to life, like they're talking to you and everything is talking to us all the time. I'm not saying go walk around talking to plastic, but Mother Nature will go and tell you what to clean up and what to do. You know, we listen to her. And I thought it was great that you did it that way, because for me, I mean, what age group is your book pegged at? What is it?
I mean, it's anywhere from like 3 years old, 5 years old. But I've read it up to, you know,
I'd say,
fifth
yeah.
graders.
Yeah, I'd say it could go up a bit. Yeah, 6, 7. I'm going to use it in the class with them. But I'll speak to you separately about that and putting it into our programs if you're okay with that, because I just think it's fantastic for that younger generation to have a different side than what I have. You know, I don't have talking bottles, I have talking trees.
Delilah, I did have a question for you around the age that you made this book. What was your inspiration behind the actual names, like Barb, Lassie, Dan? Were these people new or?
No, they were not. It was kind of random. I actually didn't have any names for any of them until the very last minute, because I was like, it has to be something fun, something memorable. So I was like, okay, Lassie, Glassy, Dan the Can. Okay, it's cute. And I've actually, having read it to, I think at this point it's 1,000 students around my school district. I'll come back to the school to read to a different classroom, and I'll have kids come up and go, "How's Lassie Glassy?" or "How's Dan the Can?" It's adorable. So it really sticks with them.
That's so cool. That's such a cool feeling, I'm
But
sure.
you know what? If anyone's listening, this is good. It just came to me now, right? If they put that on bottles and cans in a big message for the children, they probably think, hey, my name's such and such, you know, how are you today? Please recycle me in the right bottle. It just, you know, for young kids or parents to look and remind them, oh, recycle me, yeah?
All about connection. It's all about,
because there's nothing on there. It's just got a thing that's got a round recycling thing and no one pays attention to that tiny little. But if someone had a character on it, if someone's listening, hello, you know, put it on the plastic, the cans, and the glass bottles.
Yeah,
that would be that's a great way of doing it. That's a good idea. Just give me a good idea now for school to get them to recycle that way, and kids to have like glass or can bottles around the classroom with names on them. So all the time it's going in their subconscious for them to do it. Do you know what I mean? That's the way to go, though.
Yeah,
is to educate them young.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that you would like to share, also, sorry, just backing up a sec, this was Charles's question. Are you planning to do a second book?
I've thought about it. I'm not exactly sure right now. I was thinking something like Princess Trash. I know that sounds so random. Let me explain. My niece is obsessed. Sorry. My niece is obsessed with princesses. She just had a princess birthday party, and she is like the star of this book. So she has talked about like, is there going to be a second book? Is there going to be a second book? So I was thinking either Princess Trash, Princess Recycling, telling all of, you know, everybody in her kingdom to recycle. Might be fun, but I don't know. College applications have me busy right now.
Oh, bless.
Oh, so you mean your plate isn't empty? Like, what are you going to do with all that extra time?
No, right?
Funny. If there's anything you want to leave with our listeners today, anything that you'd like to share with them, anyone that's listening that needs help, or any tips or anything that you can leave here for anyone who's in a situation that needs these tips, or to hear a message. You never know who you're helping, who's listening around the world, you know?
Yeah. I mean, something that I have always stuck by is the saying, good things are coming. I have index cards with that written. It's all across my room. I have it in my car. I used to write it in my notebooks at school, because whenever I was experiencing depression or anxiety, you know, that saying reminded me that there have been good things that have happened in my life, and even better things are coming in the future. And, you know, if you can just remember that in any of your hard times, you'll get through it.
So you have that everywhere. Good things are coming. And you keep saying that, and you have it everywhere. I love that. That's fantastic. So thank you so much, Delilah, for sharing your time with us and your voice, which is so important today. And could you just tell everyone where they could get your book from?
Yeah, so if you go on barnesandnoble.com and you search up Recycling for a Better Today, you'll find it immediately. And I believe right now it's $6, which I would say is a steal.
It is, yeah, it's $6 because I'm waiting for mine. But yeah, so thank you so much. We will put all the information underneath where you can get your book from. We'll put the links into everything, so anyone that's interested wants to have a look. we will load a few pictures from it. And so thank you. We want to thank everyone who takes the time to listen to our Voice for Children and to listen to what you have to say. I know there's so much out there that you can listen to today, but for me, the voice of our children is the number one thing we should be listening to. Obviously, your inner voice as well in nature, but the voice of our children is very important. So we really appreciate that you're listening to us, you're sharing our messages with your friends, with family, with teenagers, with educational system, and just really telling everyone about a Voice for Children so we can make, as you say, things are getting better. So thank you so much. And thanks, Charles. And thank you, everyone. So the Voice for Children is found under the Magic of Miracles podcast. And so we thank you so much for joining us. And if you'd like to take part, please reach out to us at the Magic of Miracles, and we'll put all that in the link below. And please reach out if you have your views to share. We'd look forward to hearing from you. Lots of love. Take care, everyone. Be kind.